Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Jason Avant here, ready for the next episode of the Q&A show on Inside the Birds platform, YouTube, Amazon Music, all platforms. We're having a great time. I'm here with one of my good friends, teammate, my brother. Q Mike, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Back at it again. Happy to be here.
We are definitely excited to be here. We've had so much great turnout and feedback from all the fans and everyone that's a fan of the show. I'm telling you, Q, everywhere I go, I was in Acme today, and one of the guys stopped me. One of the guys that was stocking the show was like, "Man, I love you guys' show. I'm gonna call in and or I'm gonna shoot a question next time I see you." I was like, "Okay, give us a question. We'll definitely put it in on the show." And just great feedback from you on the board last week with the plays and showing people what defense and under fronts and stunt front, all of those things. I appreciate that. You took me to school last week, so I'm excited about this week. And to all the fans out there that are tuning in, we want to say thank you guys 20 times over. Thanks to Adam, Jeff, Hunter in the background, Josh, everyone that's responsible for the Q&A show, and all of you guys that are making our show a success. We're looking forward to it each and every week. Continue to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Inside the Birds YouTube platform, Amazon Music, wherever you see Inside the Birds, the Q&A show. And also check out my man, Jeff Mosher show and Adam Kaplan show, Inside the Birds, the founders, the originators. We're learning a bunch from them, and we're looking forward to continue to expand Inside the Birds.
Absolutely. Well said, man. Well said.
All right. Sweet. I done did the house cleaning there. Let's get into it, Q. We're going to dive right in. There's some news. There's always some news. Before we get into our Q&A, we talked about when we started off the last show about Julio Jones and the potential. You were an avid advocate for signing Julio.
Yes.
Now, there was Darius Slay came out and said publicly, we need to do everything that we can to sign Julio Jones. And I know that's the feeling around the locker room. If you can get Julio Jones, you still thinking Julio Jones is somebody that you want in the locker room, or everybody would love Julio Jones? What are the obstacles of us getting Julio Jones?
Well, I mean, the biggest, obviously, the biggest two are the salary cap and, what type of capital are you willing to give up to get him here? And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, because with a player at that level of Julio, the Falcons are going to want something very good in return. And, what do we have to give? And then what are we willing to, give up monetarily to be able to pay him? So
yeah,
it's definitely something that's not an easy fix. I would love, and you dashed my hopes last week, man. I was all for it, and then reality started to set in, But the good news is, looks like from today, situation with Ertz and his salary cap number, because the wizardry that has to deal with the salary cap, I can't even really comprehend. But long story short, we're able to stretch out a portion of his salary cap. So it saved us, I think, either $8 million or possibly $4 million. It was a little confusing to me. But at the end of the day, today, the Eagles saved some money. So, that may help, that might not help. I'm not sure. But I just feel like we have to make it happen. But how, right?
You can't, and you segue right into my next topic, which is Zach Ertz. How long would this just episode continue for Zach Ertz? He's been in this, and hear me out, fans, hear me out, everyone that's watching our show. I believe in doing what's best for the organization, but I also believe in doing what's best for the player, especially when a player has sacrificed as much as Zach Ertz has sacrificed, meaning that he was one of the cornerstone foundational pieces for the Super Bowl. And he's earned the right for you to treat him right on his exit. You don't have much need for him. You have an up and coming tight end who's shown that he's more productive at this stage of his career than Zach Ertz. That's known. You let that be known last year with how many times you targeted him. And that's okay. I think you have to do what's right by him and let him leave gracefully. When you have an all-time great when it comes to Philadelphia Eagles history and Zach Ertz, I think this is the time for the Eagles to take the high road. And the Eagles have had a history of not doing these things right. We've saw Brian Dawkins go through things like this. We've seen Donovan McNabb leave Rocky. We've seen a lot of guys leave with a bad taste in their mouth. And I think that this is a marketing strategy for an organization like the Eagles. The Eagles can package this up really nicely. Hey, Zach Ertz, you've been rewarded. We're going to get you out of this contract. We're going to send you to a team that you want to go to. Give us a list of teams. We'll try our best to get you those teams. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, you market it in a way that, hey, free agents, we're going to do what's best by you. Like, those are ways that we can market this. And I think the Eagles are failing by trying to get the most for Zach Ertz when teams know that he's a limited player. He's a high production player, but he doesn't, like I said, affect the game at this stage of his career like the younger tight ends and some of the more elite tight ends in this league.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And you know who really pays attention to that is potential free agents, right? They're watching how you're dealing with a vet of his stature. You know, the way that things ended with Dog. And almost like in a way, it's almost like if they would do that, you know, if they would treat Doc that way, then they would treat anyone that way. And that's not really what you want the organization to be known for. And so I really do. I agree. I hope 100% that, you know, they look at the situation as an opportunity to do right by him, but also do right by yourself, do right by the organization, you know, show the rest of the free agents, the potential free agents that, you know, this is a first-class organization, and we treat, you know, our definitely our star, all-time great players the right way. So
Yeah,
I agree 100% there, man.
yeah. It's their opportunity, and I'll leave off with saying this is that I was there last year, and Zach was definitely frustrated with not getting a contract, and it was visible. It was visible in his play, and it was visible in his face. It was something that was weighing him down. And I think that the organization kind of wore him down last year with him feeling like he earned, you know, a salary, you know, a better contract.
Yeah.
With that being said, we know how tight he is with Carson Wentz, Ace Boom Coon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want that energy going over into the next regime? And that's the thing that you have to think about, right? If you have someone with a history, like say there was a position coach that loved Doug Peterson and he let it know, it was evidence that that's my guy, and a new guy comes in and he keeps him, you wonder if he's going to bring that old energy. We used to do it like this. You ever notice that guys that come in from other teams, it's always, man, back in Buffalo, we used to do it like this. Oh, over in San Francisco, we used to do it like this. And it really interrupts the vision of the new guy because you're trying to teach an old dog new tricks, and it's very, very hard. So I don't think that this is a winning strategy on any front for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's only making their position in bargaining worse, because the closer you get to training camp, everyone knows that you're going to have to dump him because of how disgruntled he has shown himself to be over this time.
Yeah.
So that's my last.
Just gotta be
thing on
proactive.
that. gotta be.
They just gotta be proactive, man. Just cut your losses.
There you go. Cut it. All right. So we'll get into a few things here, and it's going to segue into a bunch of things, like some of these comments, some of the questions that are being asked is going to segue us into a bunch of different discussions, and I'm going to allow them to happen rather than just going into them right away. Let's get off with the first question. The first question is from Philly Rapture. I'm gonna bring my paper closer today. The Patriots were obviously penalized for Spygate, and I distinctively remember something not being right in real time watching the Super Bowl. It felt like every time Jim Johnson called a blitz, the Patriots ran a screen. As close as the final score was, do you believe that the Patriots' victories deserve an asterisk? Why or why not? That's for you.
That's
It was your
it.
time.
So so that, it's funny. I go back and I replay that game. Now back then I wasn't a starter. I was just a special teams guy. Um, it was I remember being a very competitive game in the first half. I do remember the second half. It really did seem like every time Jim called the screen,
Call the blitz.
called the blitz, there was a screen on, and I do, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't on the field, so I don't know for sure, but I think I remember hearing one of the starters say after the game, like Jim called like two or three, I think three blitzes in a row, and each time the blitz was called in a row, they had a screen on it to counter it, and so it's one of those things where you just kind of go back and you're like, right? Very rarely does very rarely does a team run multiple screens in a row.
Well,
Very rarely
it
does.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like the most screens I ever seen in a row is 2.
Yes. And then on top of that, defensively, very seldom will a defensive coach, even a aggressive defensive coach like Jim Johnson was, very rarely will he run 3 blitzes in a row. And then we're talking like his serious heavy stuff. Like it wasn't no just regular, from what I remember, it wasn't just like them regular test the water type blitzes. They were like all out blitzes. And so, for me, I do think that there was something to that. Do I think they have an asterisk? No, I don't. So at the end of the day, you still got to go out there and play, right? You still got to go out there and execute. Yes, they could have had our play calls or whatever, and they could have had the perfect call. But at the end of the day, we still got to go out there and compete, and that's really what it's about. So it's tough, man. It's tough for me because, that year was a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
I was a second-year player, and we were getting in at the end of the games in like the third quarter, which never happened.
Exactly.
Like we were blowing everybody out. So it was like the most
beating all the good teams too. It
Yes.
was the good ones. It was the Steelers. It was a lot of good teams.
Yeah, it was like Pop Warner out there. I mean, that's how far and above we were. And then so that year was so easy. And going back, it was like I was so young and dumb. I'm like, oh, this was easy. We'll get back next year. Like we'll get them again next year. And we never got another chance to sniff it. I mean, and so it's unfortunate because it's like you have a very short window to have success in this league. I mean, you saw what happened with this team. We had the Super Bowl, and then a couple years later, coach is fired, everybody's gone. So, do they deserve the asterisk? No. I just wish that there was a way we could somehow go back and figure out for sure. Just for my own personal like feelings, I guess.
I'm with Philly Rapture on this one. Listen, I wasn't on the team at that time, but I do remember the whole storyline, and it wasn't just that because you got to remember they didn't get caught that year. They got caught when Eric Mangini went over to the Jets, yes. Right? And they had the nerve to send the same guys that he knew about to his practice and to film him. That's so arrogant. Yep. So that this has been going on for some time. And I think that the NFL, because it was the Kraft family and because it was Bob and how significant he's been within the ownership structure, didn't want to really deal with it. Yeah, the penalty was, okay, let's fine Belichick $500K. Let's find an organization $250K, and let's dock them a first round pick. That's not significant enough for cheating, because everything that we're taught as NFL players is uphold the shield. One of the worst things that you can do is make the fans doubt the integrity of the game. And at that moment in time, that was the biggest smack in the face, and it was flat out cheating. Now, does every team send a scout to the opponent's future games and future opponents' games. Yes, and they tried their best to inoculate, to be able to debunk and try to decode everything that they're doing. So yes, they're looking at the signalers, trying to figure out what a sign means. That's well and good because there's no videotape. He's just saying, look, 2 fingers means that's going to be a 0 blitz. 3 fingers up and waving his hand means it's going to be a post corner out. And they're trying to see if this is true during the game when you're playing them, because you have all of these keys, but you don't know if a team has changed them by then or not.
Right.
You know, and but to go in and to videotape teams during the week that they're preparing for you, that's flat out cheating. And I don't
Yes.
think the NFL dealt with that harshly enough. And the NCAA gets on my nerves, but the NCAA would have surely taken away a national championship for that. They wouldn't have gave it to the Eagles, but they would have taken it away.
Well, but see, and then to me, like that's the only thing that's different in the situation is we couldn't go back. We couldn't go back and find out for sure.
And find out for sure.
And that's the only reason why I'm saying maybe
you know it's gonna
we
come
can't
out.
do that.
You know it's gonna come out because
It'll be in the book.
The dude that was filming is gonna be like, man, I can make me a meal or two at some point in the next 10 years.
Now I will say at that point, if he does come out and say that, then there needs to be an asterisk on those wins because now we know for sure. But man.
Yeah, it's tough. And a lot of Eagles fans still bitter and a lot of people around the country are bitter with the Patriots about that, even still.
Rightfully so. I mean, they're fans,
because everybody always thought they were cheating.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, see, they are cheating. People thought they were cheating because it's like the Lakers. They were like the Lakers of football because all the free agents that were still good, they would leave out and they were like, oh, let's go play with the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, stop. You're still good. Go get some money. No, I want to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so during that time, it was kind of disgusting. All right, next question.
All right, let's see. All right, so this is from Jordan D. He says, "Hey Jason, I wanted to see what you think of Andre Dillard and Avonte Maddox after spending time with them last year."
This is one of those questions, Q, that's kind of it's vague, and I like it. So let's deal with the first thing that I notice with players is if they're good people. Both guys are genuinely good dudes, right? So, and a lot of times we only care about the football side of it, but I think that's the prerequisite a lot of times of being just a very, productive coach or something outside of football is being a good dude. So both of them are good, come from good families, good people. Dillard was, to me, Dillard was timid. Okay. And timidity is not the greatest characteristic for the offensive lineman, right? And to me, he wasn't as strong as a left tackle should be because he was kind of light. He's not a big guy. We're used to man like big muscle bound guys, Jason Peters, Trey Thompson. These guys weigh a ton, like mammoths. They just huge, right? So they're 350. They say on a 320 on a sheet, but those dudes are 350.
Oh yeah,
big dudes. And so you get Dillard in there that's 290, and you can just see the difference. 290, 300, 310. You can see the difference, and so I think that he has the feet, he has the get off, he has all of those things. But when you lack power and you lack aggression, it's just not a great combination for offensive linemen. So that's my thoughts on Andre Dillard. Now, sometimes that makes a good pass blocker though, right? Yeah. If you have extremely good feet and you can time up the snap count, time up the cadence pretty good, it just makes you like liable when it comes to bull rushing, right? So you can't be you have to be able to be strong, really strong, and I think he needs to get stronger. So that's my take on him. Avonte Maddox, I love Avonte Maddox because Avonte Maddox is a student of the game. He asked me more questions. Him and Slay asked me more questions than anybody. Asked me more questions than receivers.
Oh, wow.
And so he's a student of the game. He wants to get better. He's just out of position.
Yeah.
So he has some success for a young player in the playoff run that they had. And the reason he had success is because he never got beat. And he began to think like, oh, I can jump everything. I can do this. And when you start getting beat, that confidence goes, now you're in purgatory. You're in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
And so you didn't know all the techniques, the nuances of playing corner, what I should defend from, and trying to, get guys to the sideline or whatever it may be, shooting with the right hand. And then for me, he sees way too much as a cornerback.
Yeah.
If you give him a shake, he may jump off this page, jump off the screen because he's looking at the wrong. And I read an article today that said the coach had been preaching to him, eyes, 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 eyes. And we talked about this earlier, 4 or 5 shows ago, about Vontae Max. And I said the same thing, that he goes for a lot of shakes and moves. And that you look at them hips, you keep your eyes down, you try your best not to look at the shoulders, because you look at the shoulders, it's over. And so they're teaching him the right thing. And I think that he has a place in this league. I don't necessarily know if it's the second corner. The second corner is a very, very hard position to play, because usually you have a number one corner and the offensive coordinators are saying it's not worth it for us to continue to go after this number one guy, but we might as well put everybody in their mom on number 2. And they literally try to abuse that guy till he shows up. Right. Yeah. So it's a very, very hard position to play. And but if he gets moved back to nickel, it may be more advantageous for his career than being outside. But who do we have in that position? Zach McPherson. Zach McPherson is the only one. There's a question later down the line: do we trade for another free agent? That's my opinion of both those players. Now, I don't want to shortchange him at all. Dillard has the ability, feet, hands. You can see why he's drafted. We all know that he's coming from a conference that's pretty soft from Pac-12. No offense to you at all. I know you're out there.
Well, not even that. I mean, Washington State, Mike Leach's offense, it's
exactly. It's a soft offense. It's no power. It's all RPOs and run and shoot and draws and stuff like that. There's no real mauling type offensive lineman. But yeah, so he has some ability. Both have some ability. I just think that both of them. I think Avante's out of position and Dillard is not strong enough as is.
And so that surprises me about Avante, because one of the first things you said was that he's a student of the game. And so usually with students of the game, they're also technicians. And so they know little stuff and they pay attention to stuff like a coach telling you, eyes. That's, as a DB, you already said it. That's one of the most important things to do is play with your eyes, good eyes, right? Looking at the right spot. So, hopefully he can put it together. But that really surprises me that it's almost like he's like, flip from one end to the other with being the student of the game. But then
he wants to know. And you know what I learned though, Q, especially there are some guys that just naturally go for fakes more than others. No matter how good their eyes are, there's some dudes that just they just don't have the patience to sit there. Their body is like their brain is like, sit here. A squirrel. That's that's how it is. It's like they can't. And I'm hoping that's not him, but it's looking like that at this point. But you root for him because, like I said, both of them are great kids, great men, young men. All right, let's get to that next question, Q. This one here had me stumped a little bit because everyone calls it different coverages. I'm thinking he's talking about cover 5, what we used to call cover 5. I'm not sure on offense. But let's discuss it. Benjamin P. Hey guys, you've been killing it and I enjoy the pod immensely. This question is for Q. I recently read an excellent article on The Athletic about the cover 7, man match defense, specifically Nick Saban's defense in Bama. Do you think that John Gannon will bring these principles to the back 7? Makes sense to me. To have Slade's side be man in the zone and zone the other side? And do you have any opinions on the evolution of coverage in the NFL college game? Sorry, I butchered that.
That's a good question. So basically put this way, this cover seven it's been around for a long time. We ran it on the Jim Johnson. Gary Patterson runs it at TCU.
Yeah.
I'm blanking right now. Saban runs it. So all it is, it's a quarter half. And so on what that means to the strong side,
we call it cover five. We're under Coach Reed, even though it's quarter, even though in college we call it cover six. So
okay.
And I want to let everybody know that all coverages are named different things to different, teams. But go ahead.
Yes, that's 100%. And so really, it's really the same thing. It's to the strong side, to the tight end or the trip side. It's quarters coverage by the cornerback, quarters coverage by the safety. On the backside, it's a half, meaning usually you'll have like a Tampa 2 or a press man corner with a half safety over top. So, there's a bunch of different ways to call it. The main idea is it's quarter half. Now the man match part of it, it's not really a new concept. Essentially what it does is, let's say you're on the quarter side, right? And I have a number one receiver out in front of me, and I have a tight end as a safety. Now, if the tight end runs 10 yards, and let's say he runs 10 yards and he goes to a post. So all that man match means is anything over 10 yards, he becomes my man, right? Mm-hmm. So if the tight end runs 10 yards and he runs a post route, I got to take him. If he runs 5 yards in a cross, now as a safety, I'm freeing up and I'm looking to help my corner. I'm looking to help someone on the other side. Same idea for the corner. If I have a 5 yard in, I'm alerting that the in route is to the linebackers, right? That's not my coverage anymore. That's somebody over there underneath. Now, if the corner, let's say the receiver runs 10 yards, stop, and then go. Let's say he runs a 10-yard stop and go. I got him. Right. So that's really all that means is it's man if, right? If he goes away, I'm freeing up. So I do think they're going to run. I do think Gannon's going to run that. That's really everyone runs it or some form of it for the most part.
Yeah.
And you really have to, because there's no way to really match up on certain routes without being able to say, if it goes over a certain distance, I got to take it. All right. Yeah. So it's a great way to get the best of both worlds, where you can get man-on-man coverage, but also free up and have guys look, eyeing up routes and being able to help each other out. So that's a good question. And let's see, what's the last part he said? Do you think that Gannon will bring some of these principles slate side
to the backside? Yeah.
So I think at this point in his career, I think it would probably be good for Slade. Now, I think he plays better. He likes playing closer to his man. He plays better press coverage, but I think it'll extend his career being able to learn this defense and playing it, because now you're not locked on. All the time running your legs. Like we saw what happened with Joe Hayden. He when he was in Cleveland, he was like man all day in Pettine's defense, and they just ran his legs into the dirt. You can't do that all season. So I like it. I like the defense. I think it's going to be very well. I do feel that they're going to run some form of that.
Yeah. Joe Hayden is in a similar style now, where he's that two guy. Yeah. And it looks like man a lot of times because the way they allow it. And his eyes are on the quarterback, and guys with good hands, he touches a lot of footballs. Now he doesn't have great hands, but his eyes are on the quarterback. He makes a lot of plays just by deflecting balls, tip interception, Minkah Fitzpatrick, guys like that. And a lot of it happened because Joe Hayden's out there and he's in the quarterback's vision. Yep. So everyone, like Q said, everyone plays it. The coverages I used to hate, and like you said, this is like part of quarters. It's like when safety start cutting you, like when they know you got like a deep over or crossing route or something like that, and you starting to go over and you you're like, oh, shoot. I hope this dude don't throw this ball because he gonna cut me. He gonna beat me at this angle, right?
Hey man, listen, we're at a disadvantage on the y'all. We running backwards. Y'all running forwards, and y'all know exactly
Man,
where y'all
listen,
going.
it's no disadvantage. Y'all get off. You got one more. You got one more defender technically, because the quarterback's sitting back there.
Yeah, shoot, man. Nah, that was fun stuff, man. That was a good question. Yeah, it's a good defense. I like it. I think it's gonna go. It's gonna work out well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. Next question. This one's for you, Jay. All right.
Okay.
So Jay Moran, he said, do new players spend time trying to understand the history or legacy of the franchise? The former players who played at their position, the significance and the history of a specific rivalry games, the legendary iconic moments, and specific wins of the franchise, especially the overall culture and the bond between the Birds and the people of Philadelphia. For instance, Jason, did you understand that wearing the number 81 meant what it meant right after T.O.'s departure? When Reggie Brown didn't erase the name, did Q know about guys like the local legend Andre Waters?
Does younger players know? No, they don't, right? And when it's kind of like when you get here, you begin to learn. But
Yes.
a lot of these guys, the first Miracle in Meadowlands with Herman Edwards and the one with Seth Joyner and all of those guys, like they don't know. We didn't know coming in, and that's actually, to me, it's to their advantage, because I always say that they don't know what they don't know, because when a young player, they just go out and just play, and they don't understand like the significance of it. They're not even thinking about when I came in as a rookie, I didn't realize normal math, right? I didn't realize that it's only 53 people making this team. That wasn't even in my brain at all. I wasn't looking behind me. I was looking over. I'm just trying to make a play. Like, I'm just trying to learn the offense. I don't care about T.O. I don't care about Harold Carmichael at that time. They're like, oh, Harold Carmichael out there shagging the balls for you. Okay, great. It's a big tall dude with a 6X glove. That's all I need to know, right? And so, but I didn't know those things. And it kind of helped me because I was ignorant to those facts. Because I didn't think about too much, I didn't think about, I didn't have all that pressure on you. And as you mature as a player, your mind matures, and those things you start to channel as like, as motivation to try to make those guys look good and to do the city proud. And that's one thing that I always, once I learned about Philadelphia and what it was about, I had made up in my mind that I was going to do everything within my ability to make sure that that I would play winning football on Sunday. And, some people would say that, but that literally was a mindset of mine. I knew if the game came down to me that we were going to win for the most part. I remember feeling one time in my career when it came to a game, and in any sport. And I knew that I can trust myself because I put the time and the effort in. And I knew that I wanted to do that and be that for Philadelphia. Now, about T.O.'s jersey, I tried, like, the one thing I was aware of was T.O. and him playing and being 81. And I remember coming in the locker room. Oh, they used to hate my guts. Oh, flashback story, right? So here I am. I'm coming from the University of Michigan into the Philadelphia Eagles organization. Now, you guys got to understand something. The University of Michigan facilities in comparison to the Eagles facilities makes the Eagles facilities look like nothing. Just everything is triple the size. There's more space. There's 7 football fields. There's it's college, right? Yeah. And so our facilities are better. Like, if I wanted to catch the jugs or shoot, I can do that at any time. So I'm there and I'm like, I'm used to like the Taj Mahal, and then I'm coming to come to the Eagles, right? And I'm not saying like the Eagles was a bad organization. It's just an NFL organization. It's different. It's less people.
Yeah.
So I remember coming to the locker room and knocking on the equipment guy's door, and it's like, "Hey man, I need somebody to shoot jugs to me." Like, man, F off. I'm not gonna say who it was. I'm not gonna say who it was. Man, F off. Give me one of these. Like, so the next day I come back, like, dude, I know I'm a rookie, but I need somebody to shoot jugs to me. I'm trying to get great. Y'all wouldn't be better or not. And so like he's like trying to get rid of me. So I go to the head coach and I'm like, yo, listen, coach, I'm trying to get better. Look, these guys don't shoot the jugs to me. Can you get these guys to shoot the jugs to me? So he makes them shoot the jugs to me. So every day they out there dog curse me. This mother thinky T.O. shooting jugs to me. Right?
Oh my God.
And me, like, I'm a good dude, but I will antagonize you, right? So I'm like, dude, you can't tell me that Michigan's football program is better than Philadelphia. They were pissed.
Oh, wait, you said that to him?
Yes. Oh. and they still had to shoot jugs, and they were just cursing me out. You can hear it. It's like, dude, what I mean, your jug's gonna catch you.
That's too funny, man.
So they call me everything. So that happened in Curb. Right around the same time is the numbers are getting. Antagonizing people get number 81, right? So I get there and I'm looking like, because I was there before the numbers were issued out, and I get 81. The first thing I do is go to the equipment guys, like, yo, y'all made a mistake. I don't want number 81. What I want to do with 81? Like, that's T.O.'s number. And you see T.O. then beat up Hugh. And then, like, y'all want me to be, y'all want me to be out there. Like, what you want me to, nah, man. Like, Hugh, don't beat me up, man. Because man.
Just say you're going to call T.O. if you try.
So the equipment guy's like, man, Jason, like you gotta wear this number. We're not giving you a new number, because you gotta remember, like, I'm giving these dudes the flux over the jug machine, so they're refusing to cooperate. I even go to coach like, no, they want you to have a number, and I remember Hatfield saying, man, you gotta erase his memory as quick as possible. Hey. I definitely remember that story, but I remember that whole season, me trying to get out of number 81. But after the season was over with, I got used to it. So, and then people started taking the nameplate off of T.O.'s jersey and getting Avant sold onto it. And this is a funny story too. Like, nobody knows this story. This is embarrassing. Like, everyone that knows me now, they don't know. Like, I'm from the south side of Chicago, like really, really rough. Most people will never understand or know, or when you see me, you won't know that. But really, really rough. And my upbringing is really, really rough. Dad struggles in and out of jail. So I had my dad living with me in order to like sober and clean his life up. But my dad's a hustler. He's from the street. So my dad goes and buys all the T.O. jerseys in Philadelphia.
What?
So he goes and buys all the T.O. jerseys in Philadelphia. And this dude is slinging Avant jerseys with the new nameplate in different font. Outside the link, right? So people come there like, Jason, I met your dad, got this new Avant. Dude, I say it looked like he bought it right off 87th Street in Chicago, right off the expressway. You know, like Atlanta got the Water Boys, like you had the Avant jerseys right off 87th Street, Chicago, right? So he brought Chicago right to South Philly. So what I did was, I'm like, Dad, you embarrassed me, man. You can't be selling the Avant jerseys that got the wrong font, like the jersey green, the nameplate is white. I'm like, I'm like, Pop. He like, Jay,
Wow.
man, I'm making money off these jerseys. I'm like, listen. I'm like, how much you want for the jerseys?
That is outstanding. I
Hey,
respect the hustle.
so I say, Dad, how much you want for jersey? Man, give me about $35 jersey. Man, I bought about 500 jerseys. I said,
What?
man, here money. Leave me alone and burn them jerseys. True story.
I kind of want one now, man. That's probably rare material right there.
Oh,
Probably worth some.
my aunt be rocking it. She can't even miss her with that jersey. I gave her a new jersey. Like, man, if you wear this jersey again, we gonna fight.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Oh man, so let me stop, man. I'm hot. But my dad, rest his soul, was one of the funniest people you ever meet in your life, man.
That's awesome, man. I don't think I ever met him. That's crazy.
Oh man, so that's a funny story. I'm hot and I'm tired now.
I love it. All
right, let me ask the next question. This one's for Q. Philip W. for Q. We heard a lot about the free agent options at cornerback. Imagine you were the GM and you had to make a trade for a corner. The maximum you could give for him would be a second rounder. Salary doesn't matter. Who would you try to trade for and why?
That's a good one. Well, shit. First of all, if I'm the GM, I would have drafted a corner, so that we wouldn't need to be going here.
Yeah.
So a second rounder. I mean, to me, cornerbacks are a marquee position that when you have someone that is at that level, you're not letting them go for a second round pick. That being said, if I could pay whatever and the team would accept a second round pick for him, I'd go after Tre'Davious White out of Buffalo. I love his game.
Yeah.
I love
great game.
I love he plays with tremendous speed, athleticism, plays the ball, plays man, like he just kind of does everything. He does everything really well. Now that's assuming that we're not going to get Jalen Ramsey or Marshawn Lattimore or someone like that. I think if it's a second round pick and money was no option, that's probably the only player, or maybe you're not going to get Stephon Gilmore for a second round.
You're not getting Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like I'm saying like that's, to me, if everything was equal, that would be a dream. Now, in realistic, maybe Kyle Fuller. I like his game.
That you would definitely get Kyle Fuller for a second round pick, and that's high, but yes, you can get that. Yeah.
And I'm judging that based on what I think this offense is going to look like. Cover two, more zone. I think Kyle Fuller plays zone better than he does man. He plays well with his eyes on the quarterback. He makes plays on the ball. I think that's fair, a second round for a player like that.
That's the perfect marriage too between him and Slay. That's the perfect,
yes.
and that's one of those things that was one of the picks, right? This offseason. Where did he go? He went to Denver, I think.
Yeah, he ended up in Denver.
Yeah. So that was one of the ones that's a perfect marriage between players, right? You get a guy like that's a ball hog like Fuller that looks at the quarterback, and you're going to catch some in front of him, but eventually he's going to burn you.
Yeah.
And then you got another guy that can play man. It's like that's the best combination.
I agree.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Now, Tre'Davious White, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen him play, he does like you said, he does everything. When I say elite quickness, he has elite quickness and speed, and it's very, very hard to run past him. He does everything well. He's probably besides his height, he's probably the most complete, one of the most complete corners in the game. Like Ramsey's a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Ramsey gets away with a lot of things just because he's a superior athlete. He's not as as technically sound as like a Tre'Davious White, because Tre'Davious White has to be technically sound because he does not have the athleticism of Jalen Ramsey when it comes to just like his physical makeup. But you know what corner I really love? Doesn't get enough credit at all. Denzel Ward out of
Oh
Cleveland.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love Denzel. I love Denzel
yes.
Ward out of Cleveland. He gave us the Blues this year. Oh my God, this past year. He gave us the Blues. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a tape where one player beat up every receiver on a,
Wow.
like, yeah.
Okay.
He beat up everybody. Like, it was bad. He was out there playing around. Yeah, it happened. That's one
That's
of the ones
embarrassing, ain't it?
you should circle. Like if something like that happens to you, and you guys can go back and look at the film. That's when Travis came back down to earth, right?
Mm,
It was that
yeah.
game, because and Alshon came back that game, but yeah, if I ever get beat up like that, like either we're gonna fight after the game, or and not only we're gonna fight after the game, but I'm gonna circle it and rewind it back and forth to the next time we play again. And next
Oh
time we
yeah.
play again, I'm gonna cut them. I'm gonna do everything I can to irritate
See,
them.
ever
Like
see.
that's like yeah, like those types of things. Like and that's the younger generation. They so into the jerseys and stuff like that. That type of fire, you don't see it no more.
No.
Like they rather go out and get the jersey. Oh man, you kicked my butt. Let me get the autographed jersey. Like,
No, we fighting.
no, forget you and your mama. Like, like no, the next time you see me, it's on. Like, yeah, that's how it should be.
In fact, every time I see you, it's on.
It's
Like
on.
it's a wrap now, right?
Yeah.
My mama understands. She watching this. No.
Exactly.
Oh, we fighting. So
We fighting.
I feel you there, man.
All right, this is a question that both of us can attack. Did you want to? Because I did the last one. Thomas L. Dang, this guy came all the way from Sweden.
Ooh. Oh man, we got fans in Sweden.
And Sweden.
All right, so here we go. What's more important, X's and O's or Jim and Joe's? So basically, this question is asking like, what's more important? Is it more scheme or is it more talent? Like, which one is more important as a player or if you're coaching? So we'll look at it from a coaching standpoint. So,
you want this question? You want me?
You go ahead.
So I am a big proponent of what Tom Brady showed the world this past year. Tom Brady showed the world that talent is king. He not only solidified his place in history as the best quarterback that ever played, I think is Joe Montana, but no one will be able to argue with Tom Brady as the best quarterback to ever play. And at the same time, he totally not destroyed, but lessened the impact of Belichick's coaching. And all in 1 year. Because they were talking about Bill Belichick going down as the greatest coach in history. And now nobody will go and say Bill Belichick's the greatest coach in history because he had who? Tom Brady. And so therefore, to me, talent is king. There's an old adage that says that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But what happens when talent works hard? You will never beat talent. If all things are equal, the coaching is equal and everything is equal, the more talented player is going to win. And matter of fact, if the coaching is a little bit subpar and it's close, it's in the 60-40 range, talent is still going to allow you to prevail. I remember running plays with no checkdowns in college. I remember running go routes when you didn't have a shallow cross or anything coming behind it. I remember running corners and smashes. A smash concept, ladies and gentlemen, is a corner route and a hitch on the outside. It's designed to get the flat defender to bite so you can throw the corner behind it. And usually with that concept, there's an outlet. We used to run it on both sides. That's a terrible concept to run on both sides because if you have cover two, you can just kill that concept right away because you jam number one for just a second and you can like go underneath the corner out, right? Or the safety can play it tight. and we had no outlet. And we used to kill on those plays. And I go back and I look at it, and I'm like, dude, we used to just jump over people's head. Like, it's just how it was. And you couldn't do anything about it until we played Ohio State, which had a little bit better talent and had similar coaching. And then therefore they beat us. But if it was anywhere close, talent's going to prevail. Now, coaching is important, but it's you see it more in high school and in college. A lesser talented team can win more in high school and college because the kids don't know how to play. So if you get a team organized and get them together and they're disciplined, you're going to win games like that. You're going to win games because most teams are not organized and structured. And same way in college, if you get, some good talent and great coaching, you're going to win some ball games. But as soon as you get a lot of talent and terrible coaching is not a good thing. But if you get okay coaching and great talent, you're going to win a lot of football games. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I agree. And, I coach at the high school level, but I coach flag for my sons. And it's always funny to me. I consider myself a pretty good coach, and X's and O's, and when we face a team that just got better athletes than we do, there's only so much you can do, right? So I agree with you 100%. It's coaching can get you a little bit closer, but if you don't have the horses, you don't have the horses. So I agree 100%.
It's futile. Like you can go out there and execute Princeton's offense all you want to until Kentucky come in the building. You gotta if it's comparable. Like if you have a Duke and you have a Kentucky, now Duke is going to win because they have better coaching. You know what I mean? But if you have Little Sister of Mary going out there versus the Beast, it's going to be tough.
That's real. Shoot. So long story short, what do you say? Jims and Joes, right? So Jims and Joes or X's and O's. I like that one. I'm gonna steal that one.
Listen, I'm gonna take Jim and Joe every time.
Yes,
I'm gonna take Jim and Joe every time. All right, let me ask you this question. Corey S. from Louisville. Right, we're getting people from all over today. Can you all talk about how the training staff has changed over the years since Reed's era? Are there any key differences over the last 3 to 4 years that have resulted in our seasons being dismantled by injuries? That's a great question, man, because I don't know if we've been struck by lightning, if there's a lady that they pissed off in New Orleans out on Bourbon Street that's getting voodoo on them. Like, I don't know what happened. Something occurred. I don't know what has happened. So talk about that, Q, because it's very bizarre, our injury history.
We had both of our Eagle career, we had actually you might not have, I think all but 1 year it was Rick Burkhalter was our head trainer, and Rick and Andy are together in Kansas City, and Rick is one of the best trainers I've ever seen in my life. Right. And he's shown it with his track record. And one of the biggest things that I respected about Rick and Andy's relationship was that, we used to have some tough, rough training camps. I'm talking like banging, like going hard, breaking our bodies down, like that tough. Right. And
change the CBA tough.
Yeah.
The Eagles changed the CBA tough. That's how exactly practices work.
And then, like, one of the best things that happened was Rick and Andy, they trusted each other to the point where if it was ever like that, Rick would go up to Andy and be like, you gotta give these guys a day off. Like, you gotta like back off. Like, so I think those two relationship works in the sense that they trust each other and they listen to each other. Mm-hmm. So then we fast forward to what we have now. After and I still don't understand this. So after the Super Bowl year, a lot of the medical staff was let go.
Didn't understand that.
Yeah, that made no sense. And it still doesn't.
Chris Peduzzi, who studied underneath Rick Burkholder for years, and Dr. Dorshine, like a bunch of people. Go ahead.
And they were on this medical staff for years. And so we're talking about years and years and years of experience, you know, just a phenomenal staff that was put together. You win the Super Bowl, and the next year you fire most of the staff, right? And it's funny, ever since that happened, we've been having injury bug after injury bug after injury bug. And I don't know what transpired that caused that to happen. I have my thoughts and I have my feelings about what went down, but it's clear that it was a mistake letting them go because, you know, I don't know whether it's the strength staff and the training staff or just the medical staff. I don't know what it is, but something's not jiving. And, you know, you got guys that get hurt. Back in the day, you get hurt, you eventually get back on the field. It seemed like we'd have guys that be hurt the entire year, right? With what I would consider minor injuries, right? Yeah. Not minor, but stuff that we naturally would have, our teams would have naturally come back from. So I don't know. I definitely think it was something weird going on there.
Yeah. Now, Burke, the thing about Burkholder is that he was a tough trainer too. Mm-hmm. He had such a relationship with, like, he may have been the closest person to Coach Reid in the building. He may have been.
I agree.
Like, from racquetball to hanging out at each other's house, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so he felt like he could be tough and he would be backed up by the coach. And so if you had an injury, you weren't just sitting in the training room like that. It wasn't happening. If you got injured, it felt like they would punish you for being injured. Yeah. So you didn't feel so you can adapt the mindset. You can adopt the mindset that, dude, if I'm injured, there's going to even be more work. So let me try my best to fight through the little stuff. And that's what you're saying is that in these past years, it doesn't seem like there's enough guys fighting through the little stuff. Guys are out for things that, like, I've seen a dude break his tailbone.
Yes. I'll never forget that.
And placed the last 7 or 8 games of the year standing up the entire time on the plane rides, all the way to Dallas, all the way to Oakland. Like, this dude, like, he stood up the entire time because it hurt when he sat down. It was just a different mentality. And I thought that was because of the way. Now, I can't blame the new trainers for this because now you got to look at this from a holistic approach. When you have a CBA that is giving the owners more money, but the players are supposed to get more rest, more recuperation, less time on the field. That's a part of this equation too, because it takes a certain amount of training, fatigue, and like stamina, building it up, breaking it down, building up, breaking it down. And that's why Coach Reid would take us through such a rigorous training camp so we can build our body up to the point that it was ready for a season. Nowadays, you can't touch anybody, you run a little bit, you go over an hour, somebody calling the CBA. Like, guys' bodies are not built for what the season is. Like, you know, it's not ready for a season because you can't even hit in training camp anymore. So I think all of those things are a combination. I think that the players are weaker mentally. We're talking about the same generation of players that, you know, like jersey swap after the game, like the same generation of players that, you know, that need to, you know, put everything that they do in their life on social media. Like, it's a different mentality, different time. And you know, as a coach, just like I know for coaching last year and coaching, you know, high school and other things, that the mindset of the kid is totally different. This generation of kids are not. It's a different. Now I sound like the old man that's like, oh, this generation. But the mindset is different, and we're in that transition time where football is one of those sports that you need an old school mentality for in order to be successful. That's just the way I think. But
yeah.
And
so, and the question now becomes is, where do we go from here, right? So this is the situation that we're in. The CBA is with the CBA. How do we get the guys back on the field and healthy? And so it's a complicated question. Hopefully it gets fixed, but I'll never forget, DeMaurice Smith. He always said the injury rate in the NFL is 100%.
It's 100%.
It's 100%. So you're going to be injured pretty much from day one. And so, that mindset, it's never going to go away. It's always going to be the same. So let's, figure out how we can get our guys back on the field. So,
yeah. People don't know that your hand is broke when you're catching the football or your or you got a stinger when you're making the tackle. Nobody knows that, right? And nobody cares. Nope. So you got to have that mentality like, I'm hurt, but nobody cares if I miss it. Nobody cares if the defensive end get past me. They don't care.
Yeah.
So you got to have that mentality, and usually that makes you tougher. Yeah. All right. Q, we're gonna let's answer one more question and we can leave the no. We can't leave this weekend. We can save some of these questions for later.
Yeah,
I want to get to the last one. Which one do you want to skip to?
Yeah, we can go to that last one and then we'll come back and we'll answer.
We'll answer. All right. Q got to tell us, right? A good time to end, right? Quinn's story. Come on, let's talk about Quinn's story with Spags. Tell us, give us the background.
So it wasn't Spags. So this was about my last season in the NFL. The spring of my last year. So after I leave the Eagles, I play for the Rams. I played there 2 years. I get released in that spring. And then I go, in my sulking mode. Oh, I'm done. I'm never going to play again. But I was still working out. I was still going hard, thinking I was going to get a chance. So we make it all the way to training camp. Training camp starts. Now, when training camp starts, in my mind, I'm like, it's a wrap. I'm not getting that chance to play anymore. Yeah. It's over for me. Mm-hmm. Right. That's a wrap. So I go like even in a deeper slump, like, oh, it's over. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next. And it was funny. It was Labor Day weekend, and I'm just sitting on the couch. I get this phone call on Sean McDermott, and this is when he was in Carolina. He was the defensive coordinator in Carolina. It's like, hey Q. I was like, hey, what's up, coach? How you doing? I thought he was just calling, check up on me, see how I was doing. And he was like, hey, we had some injuries here. I forget the guy's name. He was a safety. I forget his name. It's escaping me right now. But he got hurt. He had a concussion. He ended up, being out for the rest of the year. He's like, we don't have anyone else. Would you be interested in coming in and playing for the Panthers? And I was like, okay. So I said, all right. So now remember, this is Labor Day weekend. So I'm sitting in Jersey. I'm sitting on the couch, hammered. Like, I've been drinking all day, right? Just having a good time, just chilling, watching football. And so, like, I don't even know how I even remember this conversation. But I was like, yeah, I'll be there, coach. So, long story short, I agreed to go out to Carolina. I was drunk. That night, I packed everything up that I had. Flew out to Carolina the next day, which was Sunday. Had our first practice on that Tuesday, and I started the first game. We played the Seahawks. I started the first game of that season. No training camp, nothing.
Man.
And I'll never forget that first game. I had one of the worst cramps I ever had in my entire life. It was like the third quarter. No, it was I think it was the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, you wasn't hydrated.
I wasn't ready.
That flight and Labor Day weekend, them two together, nah.
So that's my coming out of retirement story. my quickly brief retirement story.
That's funny. That's a funny story. That's not like, because you know what? And just to wrap that up, there's so many guys that like when they're ending, you don't know. Like, you don't know if you're ever gonna get that call again. So I've seen guys literally go 3 years just working out, 4 years just working out, hoping for the call. Like around that time, I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that. Like, so I'd rather be like you somewhere to and I just stumble on the call rather than sitting back and waiting on them.
For real. Shoot, man. And then to add a little bit to that one, because this one's a lot shorter. The next year after my year with Carolina, I got injured. I had a Liz Frank fracture in my foot, and I pretty much knew it was a wrap. So that year, that offseason goes by, and Coach Spags is now the defensive coordinator in the Giants, which I don't even know why he thought to call me, because I hate the Giants. I would have never went up there. But he was like, Q, thinking about, bringing you in. And the first thing I went was, and he was like, I could tell from that you're probably not willing to come in. I was like, nah, I'm good. I love it, Coach. I appreciate it, but I'm done. So I was ready to be done by that point.
Man, cute. Now that's funny. Look, when the longer you stay in the NFL, the more disgruntled you become. Right? I'm telling you, when you're young in the NFL, the coach be like, hey, now run down the field as fast you can. There's going to be a wedge right there, 3-4 man wedge. I want you to split it. I want you to run through it, make the tackle. You like, yeah, coach. Yeah, look him in the eyes. Yeah, I got it. By the time you get to year 10, he's like, hey, I want you to run down. Man, what? Like, huh? Like, no, that ain't that's not for me. Coach, let's think about a different way. That's not the best use of my talent. Like, you begin to like negotiate. It's like the kid that's the preteen that's starting to get his own thoughts, get her own thoughts, and they start to negotiate everything. It's like that when you're old, when you 10th year in the league. They got to come in with a good deal for you. They got to come up with like, look, in order for Jason to go through, you got to make him think that he gonna get the ball in this play, because if he ain't, he may not run hard.
Because you know too much. You know too much.
You're like, man, listen, there's no chance. You going through the game plan. You're like, dude, I'm like number 5 on this play. That means ain't no chance I'm getting the ball on this one. I'm gonna take that one off.
You gotta save that energy for when you the primary read, right?
For the primary, because you're dealing on limited energy. When you start to get that 34, 35, you got limited. You go in spurts.
Yeah, for real. Shoot. Right, man.
Q, it's always a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure. Good times.
Always,
Good times.
Man.
To everyone that's tuning in to the Q&A show on Inside the Birds platform, we want to say thank you guys over and over and over again. Great questions this week. Make sure that you are submitting questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com, insidethebirds@gmail.com. Also, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Check us out tomorrow, Wednesday at 6 a.m. Inside the Birds on YouTube platform. We are every week, Wednesday at 6 a.m. The show drops. We'll be posting things to social media. Make sure you guys check us out. Thanks again to everyone at Inside the Birds, everyone in the Philadelphia area, all the Thomas L. from Sweden, Corey S. from Louisville, to all the fans out there. Q, I want to say thank you. Always good to see you, my brother. You want to say peace out to the fans?
Yes, sir, man. Always great seeing you as well, man. And thanks to all the fans. All the support's been great. It's been amazing. Keep sending those questions in, and let us have some fun and talk some ball and birds, man. So it's been great. Thank you, guys.
Peace.